Welcome, everybody. It's the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Caesar Sportsbook, the home of Caesar's Rewards. Caesars will be riding with us all season long. We've got them through the regular season, playoffs, as well as the big game. And just in time for the home stretch of the season, we've got a brand new offer from Caesars. We've got, when you go to Caesars.com/sportsbook-n-casino, make sure you sign up using our promo code PIKE DYW. The DYW stands for double your winnings.
Okay.
When you make your first cash wager of $1 or more, you will receive 100% profit boost from Caesar Sportsbook. Terms and conditions apply. 21 and older. Problem gambling. 800-GAMBLER. This is now week 14 of the NFL season.
It's flying by.
Home stretch of the season. My Jets never had a chance, as usual.
Oh, boy. You know what? The Jets almost tried to help me. I had the under in that game, under 41. You know, the Jets, I guess, trying to help me out. They stopped scoring after the first half, but unfortunately, the Seahawks kept on going. Unfortunately for the Jets as well.
Well, the Jets didn't score for the last 40 minutes of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I was there for every excruciating second of that game.
That was a strange game. That was...
that's the way the Jets are.
The special teams were atrocious in that game.
Not for the Jets, for Seattle at the beginning.
Yeah, there's that, but, you know, it's...
Jets had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Yep. They had the fumble recovery on the punt.
You got the pick six.
The pick six. That was Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle had the pick six.
But it was a former Jet that did it.
What a mess the Jets are, and what a mess Aaron Rodgers has been this year. So, you know,
I'm looking forward to a clean slate. Hopefully, it is a clean slate all the way down to the quarterback, but we'll see what happens there.
New York City area football teams have real problems at quarterback. New York State football teams, I'm talking about Buffalo, have an MVP candidate and had a game for the ages.
They may have a Super Bowl team because they are one of only 4 teams that have clinched their division with 5 games left.
That's what I mean. How do you clinch a division with 5 games left? Oh,
the other 3 teams went to the Super Bowl. It's a good indication that maybe Buffalo is Super Bowl bound again. You know, who knows?
We'll see.
But here we are. We're in week 14. What we've been doing all season long here, I've been looking back on the previous weeks, games, and going through some stats and facts.
Yep.
And we got some interesting ones from week 13 of the NFL season. Detroit Lions are 11-1 for the first time in franchise history.
Best record ever for them.
But first 10-game win streak since 1934. They've had 10-game win streaks before, but not since 1934. I did not know that. I thought this was the first time they were doing anything like this.
Looking at history like that, not since 1934, you're thinking, man, how powerful were the Detroit Lions in 1934? Yes. So, they must have been a great team. So it makes you want to go back and look it up and see who was on that team and how many Hall of Famers are on that team. So it's interesting. That's why I like listening to the history of the football and all the records being broken, because it makes you look back at previous record holders.
Staying in the NFC North, and this is a good stat to keep in mind for next week's game or this week's games coming up for betting purposes. Green Bay's running back Josh Jacobs, 5th straight game with 100+ scrimmage yards.
Yeah.
That's a good prop bet to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
Over there. That was in the win over Miami. And speaking of Miami's quarterback, Tua Taglia can't win in Green Bay. Can't win in under 40 degrees.
Ain't winning anymore. Yeah. So
he's 0-8 in games played in temperatures below 45 degrees.
Well, I heard that all week too.
Yes.
Every bettor, every prognosticator was talking about Tua doesn't do well in cold weather. So and obviously they're right.
Well, here you go. It's not just Tua. The entire Dolphins team have lost 12 straight in weather under 40 degrees.
Wow. Okay.
And their coach, Mike McDaniel, 1-14 against teams with a winning record in his 3 seasons. Okay. So if you're actually betting with a Dolphins game, if the Dolphins are playing a team with a winning record, more than likely they're not going to win that.
Okay. All right.
Keep that in mind. Pittsburgh Steelers tied NFL record with their 21st straight non-losing season.
Yep. Yeah.
18th under Mike Tomlin. The 21 consecutive seasons ties the Dallas Cowboys from 1965 to 1985 as the most consecutive non-losing seasons.
Yep, that's one of the games that killed me last week. So
yes, we just talked a little bit about my Jets. We have the Seahawks have now reached 7+ wins for the 15th consecutive season. That only the Steelers and the Saints have more.
Wow. Okay.
Steelers are 21 and the Saints have 18. They have yet to hit 7 wins this season, so that streak for the Saints may be in jeopardy.
Okay.
Speaking of streaks, we have the Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals have lost 4 games when scoring 30 or more points. That's an odd stat. That is very odd stat.
That is very odd. I mean, I think it says more about their defense than their offense.
I don't know.
So I don't take that piece of information as you will and use it like to make money or to do your picks or whatever, but it's an interesting stat.
Well, if you see them hitting 30 points in a game, then do the money line against them.
Hold your breath.
That's an in-play bet
right there against them.
Yes. So. They are tied now for the most in a single season in NFL history with the 2002 Chiefs. Joe Mixon, running back, is now the first player all time to have 100-plus rushing yards and 1 or more rushing touchdowns in 6 straight games.
Okay.
6 straight road games, to be exact. Okay. So when they're away, bet on him to get a 100-yard game and a rushing touchdown.
That's a nice prop bet.
Yes. So. Jets are the first team in the Super Bowl era, and I'm leading that in because it's not a good stat, to be favored in 9 of their first 12 games of the season and be 3 or 9 or worse.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Yes. And let me tell you something. New York sports media is having a fit over it. I should say New York City sports media is having a fit over their football team.
Well, so are the fans.
It's just an absolute mess.
Yes.
Absolute mess.
No other 3-9 team in NFL history has ever been favored in 8 of their first 12 games. Just the Jets.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, they have a Hall of Fame quarterback, and it's one of those things where
who's not playing anywhere near Hall of Fame.
Yeah, obviously. Well, no one knew that. I mean, but it's one of those things where it's hard to believe. I mean, 3 years ago, when we were talking about the rumors that Aaron Rodgers was coming to the Jets, I mean, the Jets fans were euphoric, and they were.
I was not.
Screaming from the rooftop. Well, you were one of the few ones, but everyone thought
it just was never a good fit. Yeah. Especially with that owner there. That owner goes nuts at times. So a whole bunch of things went wrong this season. So, and last but not least, for Week 13, we've got the Buffalo Bills, the AFC East winning Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Josh Allen, their quarterback, registered 2 touchdowns, 1 passing and 1 receiving on the same play on the Sunday night game. It was kind of interesting play. It was a one-handed catch to Amari Cooper. By the way, that was a great pickup by Buffalo midseason.
Oh, absolutely.
Amari Cooper.
I mean, I love what they're doing. Yeah.
Cooper lateraled it back to Josh Allen, who then ran that in for a touchdown. So, according to NFL rules, that was also a touchdown pass and also a touchdown reception.
How about that?
So, he was the 4th player in NFL history to have a receiving touchdown on a pass he also threw.
I have to take a look on the line for him for MVP. So
yes.
I don't. He's got to be jumping up a little bit in the standings. So we'll see what that is. I have to take a look at that.
He is also the first ever NFL quarterback to register a rushing, passing, and receiving touchdown in the same game.
I know. Hey, you know what?
He's doing everything.
That's tells a lot to the voters for MVP. So,
and it's always interesting to watch Buffalo. When Josh Allen tries to do too much, that's when they start losing. When he does just enough on his part, that's when everything starts going their way, and they actually become one of the better teams. They may actually be, you got to say, after what happened to Baltimore against Philadelphia, Buffalo may be the second best team in the AFC, if not the best. I mean, you still always have Kansas City.
You talk about like great teams. I'm not talking about the AFC, but I'm disappointing teams. You mentioned the Jets, and when we looked at Buffalo, how disappointing have the 49ers been this year? Boy, everyone was picking them to go back to the Super Bowl, and they're getting to be an older team, so their window is closing. So I'm curious to see what they do in the offseason.
I heard discussions that they may be shutting down a lot of their key players. There's no reason. Go get the draft pick.
Yeah, you're getting older. You don't want to get hurt. I don't know how, what lineup they are in the draft order or anything like that, but it's something to think about.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the Chicago Bears have fired their coach for the first time midseason.
That was ridiculous
in their 105-year history. They have never done that before.
Well, that
they had to.
The last 30 seconds of that game was just was baffling. I was like, what were they thinking? What was everyone doing? It was just terrible. And that's on the coaching staff. You have a rookie quarterback, and certainly he's a rookie quarterback, number one, so he should have some field awareness and awareness of the clock. But
I didn't understand
that is
either,
such on the
either
coaches that it's unbelievable.
I'm
shocked he wasn't fired on the field.
I didn't understand the 25 seconds to get that playoff.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about.
That didn't make sense to me
That
whatsoever.
last part of that game was absolutely ridiculous.
That would have been worth the last time out to do that, get them set. If they weren't going to snap that ball that quickly, they can't.
He should have been fired before he walked off that field.
Before the clock hit zero. But 105-year history.
Absolutely ridiculous.
But anyway, those are the stats and facts from Week 13. Heading into Week 14, we're going to be doing our picks after the commercial break.
I think I'm 1-2, right?
You went 1-2. I went 2-1. Season long, 19-19-1 for you.
19-19-1. Okay.
39 games.
All right.
And I'm 27-12.
Nice.
I didn't have a push. I'm waiting for my first push.
Yeah, right.
I always have at least one.
I forgot
push
what
this
game
season.
I had my push on. I can't remember. I have to look. It was a couple of weeks ago, so I have to look back on that.
But I've got a 6.5 game lead.
Yeah, there you go. So
I got a little leeway here.
So I got some work to do.
I got 4 weeks to lose it?
Oh God, I can't. If you do that,
I'd have to go 0-3 a couple of times.
You can't speak about the Jets anymore. If you
drop
this one,
I'd be very jet-like.
Yeah, very jet-like.
Me and Aaron over here.
There
Aaron
you go.
the gnome.
I would take all those Jets paraphernalia off just so they don't give you some bad mojo for these last couple of weeks.
We'll be doing our pick segment after the break, but I want to go through the rules one time before we head off into the break. And what we usually do is Caesar Sportsbook lines midweek, so please check the lines before you place a bet after hearing our show. We do 3 games each, point spreads and totals. Do not do money lines for the show. We don't know each other's picks. Mm-hmm. We do know the games as a point of transparency because sometimes we have the same games.
Well, we know the games right before. We don't know the
picks.
We know the games right before we start recording just to get the order of the games, but we don't know what we do with those games. You might do the total, you might do one side, you might do the other side. I don't know that. I just know what game you're talking about.
But we'll be back after this commercial break with our picks. Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesar Sportsbook.
With costs going up, Adam and Eve is the best deal around. With 50% off a sexy adult product at adamandeve.com. That's 50% off right now when you point the camera on your smartphone at the code on the screen. Don't get up. Just open your camera and point it at the screen. Hurry! You'll also get 10 free gifts, including free discreet shipping at checkout. This is your chance to get more for less. So scan now for 50% off plus 10 free gifts from adamandeve.com.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Caesar Sportsbook, home of Caesar's Rewards. Caesars is with us through the entire NFL season, from the regular season through the playoffs to the big game, and just in time for the second half of the season or the home stretch of the season, we've got a brand new offer from Caesar Sportsbook. Yeah, sign up with Caesar Sportsbook at the website caesars.com/sportsbook-n-casino. And when you do register, sign up with our promo code Pike DYW. The DYW stands for double your winnings.
So Pike DYW, okay.
And when when you make your first cash bet of at least $1 or more, you can double your winnings on your next 10 bets because Caesars will be giving you 10 100% profit boosts once you make your cash bet.
See, that's awesome.
That's a great offer.
That is a great offer.
And always don't forget to hook in your Caesars Rewards card, too.
Absolutely.
Here we are, Week 14 pick segment. We just went through the stats and facts for Week 13, and before we get to our picks, I'll go through the rules one more time. We use Caesar Sportsbook midweek lines, so please check the lines before you make your bet after hearing our show. We play against each other. We choose 3 games each. We do point spreads or totals. We do not do money lines, but again, this is a head-to-head competition between the brothers here.
Yep.
So, and what we do, just to make sure our production format is right, we do share what the games are that we have picked, but we don't share the picks.
I'm excited this week since we have no games in common.
Yes,
so
could be an opportunity for you to gain ground.
I got to try something. This is going to be an important week for me. I have a couple underdogs, and I stayed away from the totals. I didn't do well with totals, so I'm picking sides this week.
Okay, well, let's head on over to game number 1. First game of the week for me, I have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is favored by 6.5 points. There's an over-under of 46. Well, surprise, surprise, Tampa Bay is tied for the NFC South lead. I don't think anybody expected that one to happen before the season began, but they are there atop the NFC South. After especially just getting out of a game against Carolina, they had to take it to overtime, and
that was a little strange.
Yes.
I mean, the week before they just beat up on the Giants, and I was a little surprised what was happening in that game with Carolina. So,
well, a little foreshadowing. I'm hoping another team beats up on the Giants too.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have. I think this is that game against Carolina was just so unusual. I think this is going to have to be the wake-up call for Tampa Bay if they want to be taken seriously for the rest of the season.
I think it was a little scary for people who were in Survivor contests across the country too. So,
but here we are. They're playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Outside of Brock Bowers, Las Vegas really has nothing on the offensive side to threaten anybody with, especially after jettisoning Devontae Adams over to the Jets. So, but here we got a Tampa Bay defense that, even though it's not as good as it has been in the past, it's still, I think, good enough to take care of Las Vegas here. We've got Tampa Bay covering in 3 of their last 4 games. The Raiders, well, what can you say? They've lost 8 straight. They've only covered a number this small. Most of the spreads have been bigger than 6.5, 7 points. They've only covered a spread this small only once in those 8 games. Vegas is also 0-3 against the spread in their last road games, which they are here down in Florida. So I'm going with Tampa Bay and laying the 6.5.
Okay, my first game is the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals, who are favored by 3 points with a total of 44.5 points. Hey, the Seahawks came back last week against the Jets, and they looked awful doing it. Oh, my God, what a terrible special teams performance by Seahawks and just everyone. It was just awful last week. But as of late, the Seahawks do not do well against NFC West opponents in December. The Seahawks have lost each of their last 5 Week 14 road games against NFC West opponents, and have also failed to cover the spread in 6 of their last 7 December road games against the NFC East. And how about the Cardinals? They have covered the spread in each of their last 4 December games against the Seahawks. And it looks like literally the Arizona Cardinals have Seahawks number. So I think that's what's going to happen this week. I am taking the Arizona Cardinals over the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, let's head on over to the second game of the week. Second game of the week for me, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Tennessee to play the Titans. Tennessee is favored by 3.5. There's an over-under of 39.5 as we're taping this. Tennessee has the worst record in the NFL against the spread. They're 2-10 against the against the spread this season. One of the worst teams around against the spread. We've got Jacksonville coming into the game. They're actually 6-5 against the spread here.
Ah, okay.
I still keep hearing outside chance of Trevor Lawrence clearing concussion protocols, but regardless, they're even with Mac Jones behind the center, I don't think this is going to change the outcome of this game too much. Jacksonville's 0-5 against the spread on the road in their last 5 away games. They're facing a defense with Tennessee that's ranked in the top 10 in a lot of different categories. And even though while both offenses are ranked near the bottom of the league, I'm not really expecting an offensive showing in either of these games, but you never know. Will Levis over there does have some capability of doing some explosive plays. So does Mac Jones. But right now, I think the defense of Tennessee is going to be the difference here. Will Levis is a turnover machine. Let's face that. I don't think he's gone a game without throwing an interception. But right now, I think Tennessee's in a good spot here where they're going to keep that winless against the spread streak by Jacksonville going on the road here. I'm doing Tennessee and laying the 3.5.
All right, my next game is the Atlanta Falcons at the Minnesota Vikings, who were favored by 5.5 points with a total of 45.5 points. I think this is going to be an interesting game. Kirk Cousins plays against his old teams, and I just love that motivation factor. And I also have loved what the Minnesota Vikings have done this season, but I got to tell you, they haven't been as dominant over the last month and a half as they have been. The Vikings have scored more than 23 points only once in their last 6 games. And if you want to cover a spread of 5.5, chances are you're probably going to have to score more than 23 points. I think Cousins will be motivated. I don't think he's going to throw 4 interceptions like he did last week. And I think this is going to be a close game. I think the Vikings will probably win it, but I think the Atlanta Falcons will keep it close and probably cover. So I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons, the underdog Atlanta Falcons, the highly motivated Kirk Cousins led Atlanta Falcons against his old team, Minnesota Vikings.
So you're taking Atlanta?
I'm taking Atlanta.
All right, let's head on over to the last game of the week. Last game of the week for me, I have the New Orleans Saints favored by 5 at the New York Giants. The over-under is 40.5 at taping time. Well, New York Giants have lost another player, Dexter Lawrence, to injury. He's gone for the rest of the season, so I'm expecting a lot of Alvin Kamara in this game right up the middle. The defense for the Giants is suspect to begin with after losing an all-pro defensive tackle. I think they're even more suspect here. The offense, well, they've got 2 quarterbacks that you put them together, they're still a bad quarterback because both of them are inconsistent. Not that they're overly bad, they're just really inconsistent. I'm just having fun at their expense here. The Giants have not scored 21 points since week 5 of the NFL season. They're 0-7 against the spread in their last 7 games. They're 0-4-1 against the spread over their last 5 home games, which they are here. Even with the decent running back, they do have a good running back, the New York Giants. It's just that I think they've just got too many offensive issues. And, New Orleans, they're playing without their Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill. He's done for, I think, the season with the injury. But even without Hill over there, I think the good news for New Orleans, they're playing one of the New York teams.
Yeah.
So
New York City area teams,
yes,
you should say.
New York.
They were playing Buffalo.
I would have
said
Buffalo.
Trouble.
I would have said Buffalo if I meant Buffalo. But New York Giants, New York Jets, they're playing one of the New York teams. Neither of them are doing well, and I honestly think this is a good chance for New Orleans to snag a win here. So I'm going New Orleans and laying the 5.
Well, my last game is the Chicago Bears at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are favored by 4 with a total of 44. While you mentioned injuries, and San Francisco is just coming into this game really beat up. I mean, smacked around, and God knows what the 49ers are going to do. Are they going to shut down people getting close to the end of the season? Who knows? I mean, just terrible injury situation, which makes it a good situation for Chicago Bears, who are going to have a new head coach calling the the plays for the rest of the season. I think the Chicago Bears are in good position in this game to at least cover the 4 points against a really struggling San Francisco defense. And they're struggling, again, injuries. They're an older team. They've played a lot of football in the last couple of years because they played a lot of playoff games. And I think they're really hurting right now. So I'd be very curious to see what San Francisco does to finish out this season. But I think the Chicago Bears are in a good position to at least cover. I think they'll come within a field goal of the San Francisco 49ers, who still may win this game. So who knows? But I'm still taking the Chicago Bears just because of the injury situation the 49ers are in.
All right, those are our 3 games for Week 14. We'll be right back to recap and close out the show. Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Back right after this.
If you don't have final expense life insurance, this message is for you. LifeCare provides valuable information about whole life insurance to help cover final expenses, medical bills, burial costs, and other final expenses. A final expense life insurance policy is fast and available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exam, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral costing $9,420 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses. Your premium will never increase. Your policy will have a cash value and a death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense life insurance with a lifetime lock, call 800-601-9488. That's 800-601-9488.
Sign up at jackpot.com and you can bet on the world's best lotteries where the biggest jackpots are up for grabs. Powerball, Mega Millions, some of the biggest lotteries can be found at jackpot.com. Simply choose your lotto game, pick your numbers, or use their quick pick feature, and you're done. Sign up at jackpot.com with code DRAW24 and get a free lottery ticket with your first deposit. Jackpot.com, it's the world of lotto in your hand.
Terms and conditions apply. You must be at least 18 years old and in the United States to play. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Caesar Sportsbook, home of Caesar's Rewards. Now, we just did our Week 14 picks for the show here, 3 games each. And why don't we go ahead and recap for everybody? Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals to lay the 3 points against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm taking the underdog Atlanta Falcons against the Minnesota Vikings, who are favored by 5.5 points. And I'm also taking the underdog Chicago Bears. I think they're going to cover the 4 points that the San Francisco 49ers are favored by.
All right, I'm doing Tampa Bay laying the 6.5. I'm doing Tennessee laying the 3.5. I'm going with New Orleans over the New York Giants and laying the 5-point spread there.
Wow, no totals this week.
No totals.
Wow, all right.
I have avoided totals for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So.
I won on one total last week. So.
But those are our picks. They'll be up on the blog, turnpikesports.us. Click on the blog button. They'll be in print form there. Feel free to comment there. Feel free to reach out to us. Email info@turnpikesportsradio.com. Follow us on social media. Instagram, Turnpike Sports Radio. Facebook, Turnpike Sports. X, we have Turnpike Bets and Turnpike Sports there. So feel free to follow us anywhere and also comment anywhere you see us. So we're happy to talk and interact with everybody there. So again, turnpikesports.us, click on the blog button. They'll be in print form there.
And that'll do for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike. Good luck, everyone.